You walk into a room you've never been in before. Someone says something you've never heard before, and suddenly your brain screams, "This has happened already. You've lived this exact moment. You know what comes next, but you can't quite remember." The feeling is overwhelming, eerie, undeniable, and then it's gone. 10 seconds later, you're back to normal, wondering what just happened. This is déjà vu, and everyone gets it wrong. People say it's past lives bleeding through, parallel universes overlapping, glitches in the matrix. Even neuroscientists call it a memory error, a brain malfunction. But Emmy Noether's physics reveals the truth. Déjà vu isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's your brain doing exactly what evolution designed it to do: minimize energy by reusing neural patterns. Your brain created the same energy state twice from different inputs, and Noether's conservation laws guarantee that identical energy states produce identical conscious experiences. You didn't live this moment before, but your neurons fired the same pattern. They fired at some other moment, and physics says same pattern equals same feeling. Today, I'm going to show you that déjà vu is energy conservation happening in your hippocampus, and once you understand the mechanism, you'll realize your brain is less concerned with truth than with efficiency. Before we explore why your brain lies to you, I need to know, are you watching this on your phone during a break, on your laptop late at night, or on your TV while relaxing? And more importantly, have you experienced déjà vu? When was the last time? How long did it last? Did it feel prophetic or just weird? Drop a comment below and describe your strongest déjà vu moment, because I'm genuinely curious if there are patterns in when and how people experience this. Also, tell me what you currently think causes it, because I want to know what theories are popular out there. Let me start with what people think déjà vu is and why they're all wrong. The most common belief is past lives. You've lived this moment in a previous incarnation, and your soul remembers even though your current brain doesn't. This is romantic, it's comforting, it gives meaning to the experience, and it's completely unsupported by evidence. There's no mechanism for information transfer between lives, no physics that allows memories to persist without a physical substrate. It's wishful thinking. Another popular theory is parallel universes. In the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, every decision creates branching realities. Maybe déjà vu is when timelines briefly sync and you access memories from another version of yourself. Again, this sounds cool. It plays well in science fiction, but it's not how quantum mechanics works. Decoherence prevents macroscopic superposition. You can't access other branches. There's no information channel between parallel U's. Then, there's the simulation theory crowd. We're living in a computer simulation, and déjà vu is a rendering glitch. The simulation is reusing assets, and our consciousness notices the repetition. Fun idea, unprovable, unfalsifiable, not useful for understanding the actual neuroscience. So what do scientists say? Mainstream neuroscience calls déjà vu a memory error. Specifically, they say it's a familiarity signal without accompanying recall. Your brain flags something as familiar but can't retrieve the actual memory. This is closer to truth, but still incomplete because it doesn't explain why the familiarity signal activates. It doesn't explain the mechanism. It's descriptive, not explanatory. Noether's approach goes deeper. Here's what actually happens in your brain during déjà vu, and why it's fundamentally about energy states. Your brain has two separate pathways for processing experiences. The hippocampus pathway handles memory encoding and retrieval. It stores specific episodic details, where you were, what you did, contextual information. But there's another pathway in your temporal lobe that handles familiarity. This pathway asks a simpler question: have I encountered something like this before? It doesn't retrieve details, It just generates a feeling, familiar or unfamiliar. Normally, these two pathways work together. When you see your friend, your familiarity system says, "Yes, I know this person," and your hippocampus retrieves their name, your history together, specific memories. But sometimes these pathways desynchronize. Your familiarity system activates without your hippocampus providing supporting memories. You get the feeling of, "This is familiar," without any actual memory. This is déjà vu. But here's the key question neuroscience doesn't fully answer. Why does the familiarity system activate when there's no actual previous experience? And this is where Noether comes in. Your brain is an energy minimizer. It's constantly trying to reduce computational load, and one way it does this is through pattern matching. When you encounter a new situation, your brain doesn't process every detail from scratch. It looks for similarities to past situations and reuses the neural patterns it already built. This is energy efficient. If situation A and situation B are 90% similar, why waste energy building a completely new neural representation for B? Just modify the existing pattern from A. But here's what happens. Sometimes situation B is similar enough to situation A that your brain activates nearly identical neural firing patterns. Same neurons, same timing, same energy state. And Noether's theorem tells us that identical energy states in a physical system produce identical observable outcomes. In your brain, the observable outcome is conscious experience. So when your neurons fire in the same pattern they fired last month, your conscious experience feels identical to what you felt last month. Your familiarity system correctly identifies the pattern match. But your hippocampus can't retrieve the original memory because the pattern didn't come from the same external input. It came from a different input that happened to trigger the same internal state. Result, déjà vu. You feel like you've been here before because your neurons are doing what they did when you were somewhere else. Let me make this concrete with an example. Imagine 6 months ago, you were in a coffee shop in your hometown. Afternoon light coming through the window at a specific angle. Jazz music playing softly, smell of espresso. Your friend across from you telling a story. Your brain encoded this scene as a specific pattern of neural activation. Millions of neurons firing in a specific sequence. That pattern has an energy signature, a particular distribution of electrical and chemical activity. Now today, you're in a completely different city, different coffee shop, but the light hits the same angle, similar music plays, similar smell, different friend, but similar conversational rhythm. Your brain starts processing this new scene, and here's the crucial moment. Your pattern recognition circuits notice the similarity. And because your brain prioritizes efficiency, it says, this is close enough to that previous pattern, let's just activate that same neural pathway. Neurons in approximately the same sequence, you've now created the same energy state you created 6 months ago. Your familiarity system, which monitors neural patterns, detects this match and screams familiar. But your hippocampus searches for the episodic memory that should go with this pattern and can't find it, because the memory is of a different coffee shop, different city, different day. The pattern matches, but the content doesn't. Your conscious experience is confusion. I've been here before, but I haven't. I know this moment, but I don't. Now, let's talk about why this is fundamentally physics, not just neuroscience. Noether's theorem tells us that symmetries generate conservation laws. If two physical states are symmetric under some transformation, they must conserve certain quantities. In your brain, if two neural patterns are symmetric, meaning they have the same structure, same firing sequence, same energy distribution, then they must produce conserved observational outcomes. The outcome that's conserved is the phenomenological experience, the quale, the what it feels like. This is why identical neural patterns produce identical feelings, even when the external triggers are different. Your brain can't tell the difference between pattern A triggered by input X and pattern A triggered by input Y. All it knows is pattern A is active, and pattern A always feels like this. This is energy state equivalence. It's the same principle that makes electrons indistinguishable. If two electrons have identical quantum states, you end up with this kind of equivalence. Cannot tell them apart, even in principle, because identity in physics is determined by state, not by history. Your memories work the same way. If two memories produce identical neural states, they feel identical, even if their origins are different. Déjà vu is your brain discovering that different causes can produce the same effect. Here's where it gets interesting. Not everyone experiences déjà vu with the same frequency. Research shows that 60 to 80% of people report experiencing it at least once. But frequency varies dramatically. Some people get it monthly, some never. Why? The answer is energy barriers. Your brain has threshold dynamics. For a neural pattern to activate, it needs to overcome an energy barrier. Think of it like a ball rolling over a hill. If the barrier is low, small similarities can trigger pattern reactivation. If the barrier is high, you need very strong similarity. People who experience frequent déjà vu have lower energy barriers in their pattern recognition circuits. Their brains are more willing to say, "This is close enough," and activate an old pattern. This is often associated with higher neuroplasticity, which is why déjà vu is most common in teenagers and young adults, ages 15 to 25. Young brains have more flexible neural connections, lower activation, thresholds, more promiscuous pattern matching. As you age, your neural patterns become more rigid. Barriers increase. Déjà vu becomes less frequent. Your brain trades flexibility for stability. There's also a connection to temporal lobe epilepsy. People with this condition experience déjà vu far more frequently, sometimes constantly, because their temporal lobe has abnormal electrical activity that lowers barriers dramatically. Their pattern matching system is hyperactive. They get false matches all the time. This tells us that déjà vu is a threshold phenomenon. Normal brains experience it occasionally when similarity is high. Hyperactive brains experience it constantly. Underactive brains never experience it. Can you trigger déjà vu deliberately? Researchers have actually done this in laboratory settings. Akira O'Connor at the University of St. Andrews developed a protocol. They show subjects a series of words with specific semantic relationships. Then later, they show new words with similar relationships but different content, and they can reliably trigger déjà vu in about 20% of subjects. What they're doing is creating pattern similarity without content similarity. The semantic structure matches, but the actual words don't. Subjects' brains activate the same relational pattern they activated earlier. Familiarity system flags it. Hippocampus can't retrieve specifics. Déjà vu. This proves the pattern matching theory. If déjà vu were about past lives or parallel universes, you couldn't trigger it with word games. But if it's about neural pattern reuse, then manipulating pattern similarity should manipulate déjà vu frequency, and it does. Now, let me address what this reveals about memory and consciousness. We tend to think memory is like a video recording. Your brain captures experiences, stores them, retrieves them, and plays them back. But that's completely wrong. Memory is pattern reconstruction. When you remember something, your brain doesn't retrieve a stored file. It rebuilds a pattern. And here's the problem. The same pattern can be built from different materials. If I give you Lego instructions for a house, you can build it with red bricks today and blue bricks tomorrow. Different materials, same pattern, same structure. Your brain does this with memories. It builds patterns from whatever neural resources are available, and sometimes it builds the same pattern from different experiences. When it does, You can't tell which experience was the original source. This is why eyewitness testimony is unreliable, why false memories are easy to implant, why déjà vu feels absolutely real. Your brain is experiencing a reality. Pattern reactivation. The feeling of familiarity is genuine. What's false is the assumption that this pattern must come from a previous encounter with the same external stimulus. It doesn't. It comes from a previous encounter with a similar stimulus that happened to activate the same internal state. Noether would say this is symmetry under transformation. You've transformed the input, but conserved the neural state, and conserved states produce conserved experiences. Here's the philosophical implication that keeps me thinking. If different external realities can produce identical internal experiences, then how do you know which experiences correspond to actual external events? When you remember your childhood birthday party, are you remembering the actual party? Or are you remembering a pattern that your brain built from that party, plus a dozen similar parties, plus stories people told, plus photos you saw? The pattern feels like memory, but it might be a composite, a reconstruction. And here's the disturbing part. You cannot tell the difference from the inside. If two memories have identical neural patterns, they feel identically real. This means your sense of past reality is not a direct record. It's a pattern library. And pattern libraries are subject to energy minimization. Your brain will sometimes reuse an old pattern instead of building a new one, because it's more efficient. You experience this as déjà vu, but actually it's happening all the time. Time, in subtler ways. Every memory you have is potentially contaminated by pattern reuse. You are not remembering the past, you are reconstructing it. And reconstruction is guided by efficiency, not accuracy. So, what is déjà vu really? It's not past lives, not parallel universes, not simulation glitches, not even simple memory errors. It's your brain being an energy minimizer, its pattern recognition circuits firing the same neural states from different inputs. It's your familiarity system correctly identifying pattern matches while your hippocampus fails to retrieve the original context. It's physics. Specifically, it's Noether's principle that identical energy states produce identical observational outcomes applied to neural networks. Your consciousness is state-dependent, not history-dependent. You feel what your neurons are doing, not what caused them to do it. And when two different causes produce the same neural activity, you experience them as the same moment. This is energy conservation in biological computers. Evolution didn't design your brain to be accurate. It designed it to be efficient. And efficiency means reusing patterns. Brain that prioritizes speed over precision. Next time you experience that eerie feeling of having been here before, don't reach for mystical explanations. Appreciate what's actually happening. Your neurons just fired a pattern they fired before. Your brain just proved that it's a physical system following conservation laws. You just experienced symmetry in your own consciousness. Different inputs, same state, same feeling. That's not magic. That's physics. That's Noether's theorem playing out in your temporal lobe. And it's beautiful. If this changed how you think about memory and consciousness, please hit that subscribe button, because I'm revealing the physics hidden in everyday experiences through Emmy Noether's principles. And I want to hear from you. What should I tackle next? What everyone gets wrong about why we dream? What everyone gets wrong about why ice is slippery? What everyone gets wrong about time flowing forward? Drop your suggestions in the comments, along with your déjà vu stories, and I'll pick the most fascinating topic for the next video. Thanks for watching. And remember, your brain is not a recorder. It's a pattern engine running on Noether's laws.